to make them stop and stare as I zone out. The club ain't even handle me right now. Watching you, watching me, I go all out. The club ain't even handle me right now. The club ain't even handle me right now.
Can't nothing handle me right now. I see you can get 'em. Let's get 'em. Hey, I own the night and I don't need no help. Gotta be the feeling that's Scarface fair. Fucking gone wild, can't handle this pair. Fight for the club, arrogant like yeah. Top like money, so the girls just mail. One too many, y'all know me like 12. Look like cash and they all just there. Bottles, models, center no share. Fall out, cause that's the business. All out, it's so ridiculous. Zone out, so much attention. Scream out, I'm in the building. They're watching, I know this. I'm rocking, I'm rolling, I'm holding. I know it, you know it.
You know I know how to make them stop and stare as I zone out. The club ain't even handle me right now. Watching you, watching me, I go all out. The club ain't even handle me right now. The club ain't even handle me right now.
Hey, still feeling myself, I'm like out of control. Can't stop now, more shots, let's go. 10 more rounds till I get a KO. Paparazzi tryna make me pull. Came to party till I can't no more. Celebrate cause that's all I know. Tip the groupies taking off their clothes. Grand finale like Super Bowl. Go hard, I run the show. That's right, while I got money to blow. More lights, more ice when I walk in the door. No hype, do it big all over the globe. Yeah, I said it, don't tell it. Confetti, who ready? I'm ready, you ready? Let's get it.
You know I know how to make them stop and stare as I zone out. The club ain't even handle me right now. Watching you, watching me, I go all out. The club ain't even handle me right now.
Yeah.
Put your hands up.
The club ain't even handle me right now.
Put your hands up. Put your hands up.
Have you messaged
You got me watching now. Got my attention now. Got everybody in the club wanting to know now. I am a ladies man. Come be my lady man. We can both song. Bring your body and let me switch up your atmosphere. Take you out of the club and up in my new live. Fly you around the world. You want, baby girl. Are you ready to go now?
I know how to make them stop and stare as I zone out. The club ain't even handle me right now. Watching you, watching me, I go all out. The club ain't even handle me right now.
Put your hands up. Put your hands up.
The club ain't
Put
even
your
handle
hands
me
up.
right now.
Put your hands up. Let's celebrate now. Put your hands up. You know who shut 'em down.
Yeah, I mean, like on my feet there. Sorry about that. Hope you enjoyed that. Yeah. All bets are off tonight. Yeah. time club night. If you're feeling good out there, oh yeah, let's keep it real. Blue Rider featuring Nicole Scherzinger, massive hit 13 years ago. Club can't handle me. Oh, I know everybody out there, the club can't handle them either. Now it's got these kind of deep instrumental classic film 10 years ago. Everyone's been requested. Oh, Johnny. This is specifically requested by Johnny, so.
Hey, my friend.
Thank you for requesting this great tune tonight, Johnny.
This goes out to all the fans of Coffee Time.
We're really enjoying ourselves here. Special night for everybody out there, whether you're inside or outside. As in, you know, inside the building or outside the building.
Yeah.
Just take it, even if you're in between, you know, between inside and outside.
I'm loving the vibe. It's got a very
Maybe in the shelter.
Mario vibe.
Yeah, I mean, it's now I turn this music down a bit. Big prize to anyone who can recognise this song.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know even track, I suppose you'd call it, because it's a soundtrack.
It reminds me of like the third level of Mario 3. When you're like,
This is the soundtrack piece. Fabio Frizzi. This is from Zombie 2 Sequence 1. This is actually used. Basically, I'll have to turn this really off because it's just making me go crazy. I always found it funny in the film how, like these films, Lucio Fulci or, you know, the Italian films like that one anyway,
yeah,
it goes from this sort of, you know, zombie scenes and bloodletting, etc. And then suddenly they just cut to a scene where they're they're going to tropical climes and you know, going along in a jeep or something, and then it just uses that music just to complete.
That reminds me of Zombie 4 or one of those movies. Literally, he did that. That's that exact thing.
Well, yeah, that's from Zombie Flesh Eaters, as it was called here. So
okay, yeah, they had multiple names, like with most Italian films.
So yeah, well, the club can't handle that. In relation to Phantom Cooper's initial question in the chat, going back to that, is Voltaire here today? I have invited him. I've just called him. I gave him 7 rings, sent him a link. He's showing us online. I don't understand why he doesn't seem to have been notified there. I suppose he could have put my messages on hidden or something, because
maybe
I was giving him so much displeasure. But I mean, I don't know if this is. I just don't know. Has anybody else tried reaching him? That's all. I mean,
I have just now because I saw that you were trying.
Do you think you could maybe try ringing him or just doing a video call just to get his attention, perhaps?
Yes, no worries.
If you don't mind, but I mean,
speaking of films, I just finished watching one called Dream Demon. It was from 1988, kind of a horror psychological film, horror type film. Have you ever seen it, James? Or
no, I'm familiar with it, of course. Very
cool, very dreamlike, obviously based on the title, but the visuals are very good.
I've actually watched that one, but it is a UK film.
Excellent. I really enjoyed the performances were great.
Actually, I've seen bits of it. It's pretty well made, yeah. But,
yeah, very well made, yeah.
Timothy Spall's in it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He was quite a well-known, British actor now and then. But
yeah, he played, I think, the character Peck or something in the movie.
Does it involve like anything to do with sort of mental patients or something like that? Or
Oh, it's one of those stories of going to a house, and then this just in a briefly, I'll give it. It's a woman's having these dreams, and then you see these secrets, and it's very well done. And then throughout the movie, it starts blurring the reality of what's real and what's a dream, and then it's very well done. It's very up our alley. Like you would very much like it, James.
yeah, well, I think we were spoiled back then. I mean, particularly around that year, there was another film called a British film called Paper House, which had a sort of it's about a young girl. Her mother's actually played by Glenn Headley, who appeared in Mortal Thoughts, that film, and also the first part of Hotel Room, the David Lynch.
Oh, wow.
You know, she's really good, but yeah, it's mainly about the girl, and then she sort of draws pictures as a sort of escapism and everything, and then it like enters into the pictures.
Ooh, I like that.
So it's got some, you know, fairly surreal imagery. The story behind the actual film as well is quite interesting, where she meets like a young boy who's sort of looking out of the window of this surreal landscape house, and in real life he like suffered sort of like, you know, loss of touch with reality and some form of schizophrenia, I imagine, delusions, and unfortunately jumped off somewhere quite a height during part of his treatment or thereabouts, and
wow,
died from it. But yeah,
shoot.
I mean, he was quite a young lad in it, and but yeah, the film is mainly centered around the girl. So not that I'm suggesting there's some kind of connection between
No, yeah.
the other, like the film pushed him over the edge or anything like that. It's more just a case of just coincidences and things happen like that.
But you're so right about how in the 80s were just the amount of movies that came out of every type. Like everything was just nothing was held back. You know, they wanted to do it. You know, they did it. You know?
Yeah, it's just so many different aspects of production and the nature of filmmaking back then. Like even for UK films like those, which were obviously not sort of, we wouldn't class them as big budget, but I'd say modest budgets. But they did so much with it, and they don't look cheap, do they? Like
no, they look good.
Another like earlier 80s film, 1984, I think, The Company of Wolves by Neil Jordan, and that has like quite impressive sequences of, you know, people transforming into.
Oh wow, I'm gonna write that down just so I don't forget.
The Company of Wolves. So I suppose that one might have been as mid-budgeted, a bit of a higher budget. But I don't know. It's just the nature of filmmaking, where I think I can't really name many British examples of horror so much these days that aren't probably fairly big budgeted. Like,
yeah,
I mean, if you find low budgeted British films nowadays, they are really low budgeted, and you might find them somewhere on like Amazon Prime or, you know, just online somewhere.
Yes,
you don't seem to find like so many that are sort of just modestly budgeted, but giving, you know, British film a chance to do something in the horror supernatural mold, where I think it's so different now, where of course now people, they want like a film that's going to be a surefire bet if they're going to put some budget on it. And then you get films like Midsummer, of course, which you wouldn't call that's a low budget film, but it's not that that's not classed as a British film, for instance, but I can't really exactly think of many British horrors of late. And I don't know if things probably started changing around like 2000 or just around there, where we had, you know, American films like The Blair Witch Project, which obviously that's like a very low budget film, and yet it had major success, you know. And
I totally agree. What you're saying, it's basically it's true, because when you got kind of a constraint, you're forced to be more creative. If the sky's the limit when it comes to budget, we could just do this, or we could just CGI that. I feel you lose some of the creativity. Whereas when you're back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, when you were dealing with film, especially, I felt they had to plot everything so much more precisely, and everything. I just feel it was more thought out. Where if they were going to record something, it was going to be because it meant something. If that makes sense. Whereas now they can just record anything because it's digital.
Well,
Just keep filming, you know.
it's a slightly. I mean, it's going into a certain like case of wishful thinking, where I mean, there are a lot of films that were shot on a lot of American, especially, and no doubt British films that were shot on film that were still like pretty low quality. So it's not a case of like, okay, we're shooting on film, so we really need to make this good. You know, what I mean but it's a case of just how things have changed in terms of the general landscape of it all, and
Yeah.
you just find so many. I mean, the attitude. I don't know. I think it must be like just something internationally. A kind of phenomenon. There's people like Voltaire behind the scenes, and he's sort of like, okay, we've got to have this return on this film,
Yeah.
otherwise there's no point making it. Like, and
Mhm.
a lot of horror films now basically want to have big success on a small budget, and that's where, for instance, the Hostel films came from, or well, more so actually the Saw films. I meant. Like
Oh,
the
okay.
first
Yeah.
Saw film would have been not a major budget, but it kind of had a major success box office, and would have made a lot of money, and that's why they keep making so many of them, and why they put money into films like the Conjuring films, because they might not necessarily be great films, but they just are very interesting even. But they seem to. I don't know. There just seems to be this middle ground audience who will go and see things. Just and then that's it. It's just they cater towards that audience. I mean,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
it's just bizarre, because the actual, for instance, with The Exorcist Believer, like the critical reaction to it was so negative generally amongst critics.
And it was
Well,
kind of
no-
unfair for the movie because that came out just, what was it, a day before James released? I remember it came out kind of early. So it kind of gave this kind of cloud before people even saw the movie. It felt like,
Yeah, but the film is still made like over something like going up to about 120 million now. So on a
Okay.
30 million budget, that's still decent enough. I mean, it's not like
Oh,
obviously
sure.
anywhere near the success of the original Exorcist, but
No, yeah, that was a huge.
when you look at the film, and the film does border towards being a bit bland too much, and I hope they get in a new director for the sequel and things like this. But I mean, it surprises me when I look at the film still showing in the local multiplex like a month later. Like, I mean, it must have done okay, otherwise,
It would have been taken out.
after 1 week or 2 weeks, it's like,
That's
how
it.
often do films play for a month these days? Unless it's the new Taylor Swift film, or
Ooh, they might have held it longer, James. Do you think because of Halloween? Even though it just passed.
well, absolutely, yeah. But
Yeah.
they put it like an early. It did well because of partly that aspect of it, and it's just a
Mhm.
known name. And then a lot of people don't even follow critics. For instance, in America, people don't follow them. Certainly here, they don't much. And it got a kind of average, not great audience reaction on Rotten Tomatoes, but
Ooh, I didn't-
critics were like just
Yeah.
not very kind to it at all. But
Mhm.
it's just but that film is still like 30 million. That's not cheap. It's not. I mean, obviously, it's not like an expensive film by really any standards, but it's
No.
not like the same as, say, a really low budget film.
Actually, to put in perspective, James, there's rumors that that Marvel wants to bring back Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson, and they're each going to be like $30 million each. So, like, just to put that in perspective, just to bring them back, So that's how desperate they've been getting. I haven't been watching. I fell off the Marvel train a little while ago. Halfway through or after the Star Wars thing, I was just like, oh, that was it. I'm done.
Well, Star Wars isn't Marvel. What do you mean?
Well, yeah. Well, they bought it, right? It's still got that Marvel.
Oh, did they? I didn't
Yeah.
know. Well, it's like with Doctor Who. That's
Disney, it's under the umbrella, sort of Disney, I should say.
Yeah, I think as far as the special effects are concerned for Doctor Who, they've taken it under their sort of company, and But then the creation of it is still in like the original company that made Doctor Who, so
Well, that's good.
just means that the special effects will be more impressive. But
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's how it should be done, rather than everything controlled by one big company like Disney or something. So that's when things become too mundane and just ordinary, you know.
Yeah, it becomes almost like processed
Bland.
food, but yeah, bland. But it's like the processed food of movies, you know. It just becomes.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's the most popular
I know.
food, and that
Yeah.
those films are actually more popular
Yeah.
than the more unusual films often. So it's a shame, but it's just that people sometimes select like easy options. And I mean, one thing, for instance, with the new Exorcist film,
Mhm.
you've got to bear in mind, like the majority of the audience going to see it probably are not exactly the Exorcist nerds or something. And like people were saying, you like, have you noticed the poster or the advertising? It's like got the Exorcist in really big letters,
Yeah.
and then it's got Believer underneath it. Believer.
Yeah.
Like so
This is
people
Believer.
are like, okay, this is a remake of the original Exorcist. Okay.
Mhm.
Then they go and see it like, oh, it's not a remake. What is this?
Until the end, you arbitrarily see Linda Blair for like a couple seconds. You know, it's like what?
Have you actually watched it?
Yeah, we talked about it the day after I had seen it when it was fresh on my mind. The biggest
Oh, I
problem with that
remember,
movie
yeah,
was I remember the main lead actor didn't have like a driving force, like almost
Leslie
you need something
Odom.
that brings you through the film that keeps you kind of. And I felt that main actor didn't keep my attention. It was weird, you know.
Well, I think there were many aspects of it like that just seemed.
And you were absolutely right. That first half, it felt like that was one movie, and then all of a sudden, it seems like
It just
something's
felt like
missing.
like a cut down TV
Yeah.
series, basically, and they could have extended it by several hours, even. But I mean, they could easily make a 3-hour version of it. But the thing is, if you don't have the actual actors in there who are really going to, I think he gave a very TV movie performance. Or
Yes, you put a nail on the head there. Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Whereas everyone else kind of had that cinematic, you felt like, and he had the most screen time, I felt like.
he just felt like very over sincere.
Mhm.
Like, are you okay, Angela? Are you, oh,
Mhm.
how long do you think you've been missing?
Yeah, when the kids kind of up
A few hours.
and act
You've been
away.
missing 3 days.
Yeah,
Like, why would you say that to your own daughter in that kind of circumstance?
yeah, you
trying
wouldn't
to
want to shock her,
Are
right?
trying to make her go, more possessed or
Catatonic
whatever.
or something. Yeah, I know. Because the shock of it, you'd be like the time displacement. You'd be like trying to in your head, trying to line up 3 days. It'd shock
Well,
you.
the script and the way that David Gordon Green directed a lot of it did feel very like an American chiller movie made for TV or something. Like, the scene of her going into the church, many people criticized that as being like, they just didn't think it was very good. But
Yeah.
I think there were many aspects in it that were okay and were actually decent. Like,
Yes.
I found the stuff like where you had the horse that had collapsed outside, but it was like, then it showed that in the trailer, and then in the film it was literally shown about as much as it was in the trailer. It's like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna have weird goings on and weird things happening with animals, like show it. Don't just. There were various bits and pieces that were shown in the trailers that were then cut out of the film. It was nonsense.
Yeah, that's been happening a lot lately, James, because they did that with the Indiana Jones film where they had like the big rock falling and they didn't show that in the movie. There's another one it'll come to me. Yeah, that really bothers me. Sometimes there's even better scenes in the trailer. You're like, where is that?
Well, this just makes me think, like, I know in America that and maybe in Canada, I don't know, but the film can be rented now, Exorcist Believer, but it can't here. We're getting it
Really?
next March or something, end of March,
Yeah,
which is
I'm pretty sure it can be
basically
streamed.
exactly a year before the next one is due. So
Oh,
they literally have like now, a year and a bit to make the next one. So, but I just think, like, if they're not going to release it as a director's cut, an extended version on the Blu-ray or whatever, then why are they waiting? It's just, and why also is the filming obviously cut in this way?
very good question. There's got to be some type of maybe copyright legality, for why else? It doesn't make no sense. Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, the film I think there were elements in it which were a little bit like worrying or whatever, but it wasn't like shock value to the level of the original Exorcist. Like many people didn't even notice or forgot about things. I mean, I forgot about, for instance, that Angela's supposed to be showing that she's like going towards touching herself, like in a private areas when she's in the church. But and her brother and sister are looking at her, but it's so sort of. I mean, it's about as inoffensive as you could make that scene. You know, so it feels like they've tried to soften the film. And like I was saying to like Josh's girlfriend when I met them, it's like the film seemed not specifically that's relevant because they haven't even seen the film, but she said she'd read a lot about it, and I said it felt like they'd made the film for like 13-year-old girls.
Like they kind of played it safe almost.
They're not gonna make it too shocking or anything like that.
That's good too. I agree with that. It seems like they went for like a specific audience and they kept it. Yeah, that actually makes sense.
In and of itself seems like. I mean, okay, I think it's okay to make the film widely sort of viewable and reaching to different audiences. Like you don't have to make an Exorcist film just shocking for the sake of it. And there were some moments in it where it's a bit shocking, but it's sort of, you know, like the twisting of the head of that. But that was just sort of like a typical horror film type thing, rather than you know, it wasn't anything like really gobsmacking or something. And
you know what they really have to do, James? I think there was a movie that just came out. The Five Nights at Freddy's, which is hilarious because Nicolas Cage did that movie a couple of years back, which was basically an homage to this game, but now this movie just came out.
Willy's Wonderland or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that movie I think is better. But anyways, I haven't seen this one. But basically, James, I heard this movie is absolutely terrible when it comes to a horror. If me and you were to see it, we'd be like,
really?
That was
my nephew is 8 and he wants to see it.
But this is what I'm about to say, James. The fans of this game, because this game apparently is huge, like it's like a huge game, are so diehard when they go into it. They love watching the little nods to the game that they come out saying, you know what, the movie was okay, but I did like it because of this, and that. It seems to me, basically what I'm trying to say, it's made for the audience, and that's what The Exorcist should do. It should be made for the Exorcist fans. You know, the next movie should come out swinging. And don't do, you know what I mean? Just do your own thing. I do think the genius was they've become, if you look right now how much this movie has made, it's the second most profitable video game adaptation movie in history overnight.
I do think there was a deliberate attempt to make this like inoffensive, this initial Exorcist film, and that's like, and it played way too safe. Like after you see, you know, I know David Gordon Green got a lot of backlash for Halloween Ends, which I've watched everything, and it's like, okay, it's like it's not bad, but it's not good either. It's just sort of like.
Did you hear the behind the scenes, James, where he's always wanted to make a love story movie, and that's what he injected into this. He basically had his own script, and he kind of molded it, and that's why this movie became the kind of the doppelganger that it was. It was. Obviously, I've seen it, you've seen it, but and that's why a lot of fans are decisive, especially with that ending, because it's like when you kill, spoilers, when you kill off the main bad guy the way they did, it's pretty like you don't come back from that. You know, there wouldn't be another sequel. You know,
well, yeah, but not within that
universe.
Particular, those particular series of films. I mean, obviously the ending, and they're just going to. I think even, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis has said that it's inevitable that they're apparently already planning it, even that they're just going to have a new Laurie figure, and then so.
Do you know what I always wish they ended on, James?
That's so tedious.
It is. I almost kind of wish they had a reverse ending where it ends with the last shot of Laurie picking up the mask, and she now becomes the new Michael Myers. For whatever.
Well, I mean, the last shot actually, which I never noticed before, it does show that she's got the mask in her sort of study room.
Oh, did it? Oh, okay. So yeah, I would love that twist ending to be like, he's gone, but now the evil that's gone is now within her, and now she's the new Michael Myers. You know.
Well, it has to go somewhere. So.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, within the context of what we saw in End, anyway, you could put Michael Myers' like body in a kind of car crunching machine or shredding or whatever. And but the thing is, if he's a supernatural being, then he can still sort of be reborn within the sewers and all that kind of thing. And I mean, there are a few little bits like where someone is down there and they notice like there's a sort of side of the face of Michael Myers like in the wall. They go like, oh, what's that? And I thought that was
pretty
spooky,
cool.
but at the same time, the film is just it wants to be too many different things. That's the main problem it has.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, having just not having Michael Myers in the film very much is inevitably going to disappoint.
Yeah,
the people who just want him as the film, you know, and they're like, well, I do think, you know, the actor who played Corey or whatever his name is, or he just wasn't. Necessarily, he didn't bring enough of the just to his performance enough of a sinister aspect or anything. You just think, okay, he's just been dealt a bad hand, so you know. But now he stabbed a tramp to death. Like, oh well, so what? Who cares?
He just had a bad day. I know. Yeah, it's so immoral, right? Yeah,
yeah, and it just goes on like that, and then you know, the female, like Laurie's granddaughter, who kind of looks too old to be her granddaughter, and so you're like, at first I'm like, is that Laurie's daughter? No, it's just good. She's a nurse and stuff. But then she's just like, okay, I'm a serious job here. I'm a nurse. I'm just going to be riding around on a bike and like act all like googly eyes over this guy I don't even know.
James, you would do great commentary, like live commentary.
But he was like as if he was doing a parody of James and Donna from Twin Peaks.
Oh my god! I'm now having a flash of that. You're absolutely right.
It's then the film seems to want to have it all, have everything, and it goes to scenes like, you know, Michael, or I don't know if that's Corey doing, you know, the DJ, and then he cuts the DJ's tongue out, which is ridiculously sticking out of his mouth way too far, like complete. And then it's just like, is this a comedy then? So the tongue's going round on the turntable. But I just want to get to.
I think you know what I think. I think some of these directors try to capture that dark '80s humor that the '80s had, right? That because you could watch any type of movie, but yet you can watch the most, but yet you would have that moment in an '80s movie, which is always great. You know, I think of Repo Man.
Yeah, but I think it's much better when, for instance, that scene of the DJ and stuff, it just feels like parody rather than something which is genuinely
I agree.
Coming at you from left field or shocking. It's just
true. When you watch the Lost Boys,
just doing that now.
It's like when you watch the Lost Boys and you see the saxophone thing, you're not thinking parody. You might be entertained and laughing at maybe at that moment, but it somehow fits the movie. You know.
Well, it's weird in that Halloween Ends is not supposed to be set in the 80s, and yet everything in it feels incredibly 80s.
Very much so, yeah. Oh, what year was it? Was it supposed to be more modern? I didn't even notice that, actually. Well, that's a good point.
Well, it must be because it's like modern day Laurie, isn't it? But
oh, shoot, yeah. You're right, yeah.
I mean, I certainly think that it was good that the director and everyone kind of wanted to do their own thing, something a bit unusual, but they seem to...
There's a balancing act. You got to make sure, you know.
They just had way too long in terms of the coverage of Corey and everything to do with him, and then they just shoved Michael in again at the end with some hyper violence and stuff, and you just think, oh,
which is a sin. You can't do that to the main antagonist in his last movie, you know.
Well, I don't have any problem with that myself. I just because it was shown so quickly and things, it was all just, but it just felt like no big deal. It just felt kind of like, you know, just spanning out the time of the film with nothing that was particularly interesting. And I mean, I think it was interesting before that, but then it just lost speed or lost steam because I think the director was just not sure what to do with it even. Like everything about it was just made no sense. You know, like, okay, we're going to have the same title font as the Season of the Witch, the third film, coming up at the start of the film. And then, okay, that's a nice touch for anyone who notices it. Halloween Ends coming up in that and all the intro titles. But like the film has got nothing to do with that Halloween 3, apart from the fact that Michael isn't in it that much. But he's still in it pretty noticeably.
And a season of the witch is actually pretty good compared
It's just that
to
you have to wait for it.
Halloween
Yeah,
Ends.
it's a more solid film than
Yeah.
Halloween Ends because
Good
it
concept,
feels, like it goes through everything and every scene is sort of valuable. So anyway, I just want to get to the comments in the chat about Charlotte Nightstar, the werewolf, says, do you think Laura Palmer might have tried to seduce Cooper if she were a ghost or a female Mr. C-ish doppelganger? And this is a great comment, really, to start with tonight. Thank you for this. But I would say that if the original script of Fire Walk With Me had basically Laura waking up to find Cooper in bed with her, I don't know whether I presume that might have been a scene where instead we had Annie appearing in the bed. So, and then basically Laura and Cooper were supposed to have kind of made love in the original script.
Wow.
So, but the film ended differently as well in the original script. I mean, they had Laura sitting in Cooper's lap, for instance. So there was this more of a closeness there, which would have been probably an interesting way for it to all have gone. But they decided to go with Laura wakes up and sees Annie there. I don't know. I can't imagine it would have been like another extra nightmare scene or dream scene or whatever. I mean, it would have been one or the other.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know really. I think all of that is just adding something extra to the whole story, where it's maybe on Laura's part, there's some kind of wishful thinking of Cooper as some sort of romantic interest in some kind of way, where it's he's sort of like, this romantic figure, or I'm not sure if it's supposed to be more from Cooper's perspective, like where he's sort of thinking he can save Laura in some weird way, but a bit like we see in The Return, of course, but then it goes into this sort of romantic aspect or sex scene type thing, which, I mean, it opens up a can of worms as well in terms of the idea of, obviously, Laura was supposed to be 17, Cooper was supposed to be at least 30. I mean, if not older, according to the official age of the character. I mean, he's supposed to be about 35 or 6 or something. So, in terms of the age difference, then it would have again been. I don't see how that could be interpreted in a sort of like a particularly good way, really. I think it would have been a shocking direction to have gone in the film.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, she's after all been abused by her father for a long time.
And to have someone who's supposed to save her,
then what's going on? Why is there this thing? Well, what's the meaning of it? I don't know.
And it's already when you watch the series, it's already like alluded to that she slept with like half the town. I don't mean that in a bad way, but like or whatever. But I'm just saying, you find out she's Ben Horn, and then like this. There's multiple people, right? So to her to sleep with
literally half the town. I mean,
I didn't mean it like that. That was a little too much, but
I mean that would be like probably.
Actually, I don't know how big the town is. Oh yeah, it's
25,000 people.
Oh shoot, yeah,
that'll be a lot.
I
think that yeah, she did list like everyone she slept with. I think in the diary, but there was an element of just this sort of creating a character with Laura, and just in terms of disregarding the diary, for instance, even though obviously it's canon, but what was shown in the series and the film, I mean, there's only a limited amount of people that she did actually sleep with. So,
okay.
I mean, there were some. If there were any ones that are going to increase the number, then it's truck drivers, for instance. So.
Yeah. Did she ever sleep with Dr. Amp or
Jacoby? Yeah.
Jacoby.
I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's given are we given a complete answer as to whether she did flee or not.
Yeah, I've always wondered that.
He was definitely sort of like besotted with her in this kind of way.
Yeah, when he meets Cooper for the first time with his tie, right? He's got that tie with the lady on it. He's like fingering the lady with this tie. You ever notice that? He's holding the tie. He's got like this like Hawaiian girl on it or something. It's the very first scene when he meets Cooper in the first season.
Oh yeah, I know that what you're talking about. I mean, that's his
yeah.
first scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's just him. I mean, that's just part of his
personality. I always
eccentricity.
felt that funny. I'm just first you're looking at the tie, and then you're looking at his hand. You're like, "What are you doing?"
Well, you know, that was one of his peccadillos, or like his fantasies. I mean, he was into tropical women and things. So.
Yes, yeah.
But I've not seen Dark Harvest, Phantom Cooper. Thank you for the recommendation. I've heard of it.
I think there was a '90s game too called Dark Harvest. It was one of the most controversial games at the time because it was so violent. One of those point and click games.
Yeah, The Ritual. I think I've seen that one. Tim Nicol, hello, and he watched The Vanishing. I imagine he's talking about the original rather than the remake, but I don't know. At the Roadhouse, Charlotte continues, there is a sign that has Seal written on it. What does that mean, and what does it represent?
I would think that's a beer sign, but let me see if it's Seal. Let me see if that's a type of beer. No, it's not a type of... Oh, wait. No, it's not a beer. I know what she's talking about because I've seen that picture. It's it's in the background.
Are we talking about the series now or in the film?
The film. Oh wait, no, the series. Season 2. I forget which episode. It's when James Hurley is with that other girl. You know that other plot line when he starts hooking up with that other girl.
Oh, you mean it's not in the Roadhouse then? It's in the
No.
So Charlotte, are you talking about the scene in Wally's or whatever it's called, or yeah,
that was Wally's, right? Yeah.
No, I think it might be called Willie's rather than Wally, but
okay.
Yeah, there's a bar that they stop at.
How'd you feel about that storyline? Very soap opera-ish. I remember watching that when I first saw that. It was just, I'm like, oh, James Hurley, he's in another storyline, another very soap opera storyline. Think about it, he almost gets murdered, right? He's like in a little plot line where she's using him.
Back in the day, it just felt like an extension of sort of the show where they were just spinning the wheels, really, and that seemed pretty obvious, but it filled the time. It wasn't necessarily the best storyline ever, no. So, there were bits in it that were quite well filmed, but it didn't didn't really go anywhere much.
One really cool shot I think about was when Hurley's looking out the window. I think it's raining and he can hear them arguing or something. I remember that was really cinematic or kind of atmospheric. Whenever rain's involved, heavy rain and then you got like sounds going on, it's always atmospheric.
Yeah, well, I think really the whole James and Evelyn and Donna storyline, it culminates in the episode that was directed by Diane Keaton, and I think that that kind of brought things to a close and did help the show reach some form of quality at that point. Like, I mean, some people were not necessarily that effusive about Diane Keaton's episode, her style of direction and everything, saying that she was doing some kind of weak or bad parody of Lynch or something like this. But I don't really think. I don't think she was doing that. I think she was trying to do just her own thing. But that episode was very stylized.
Yeah,
I mean, and there was things in it that were strangely humorous, like the door just swinging constantly with Cooper stood there in at the place, holding loads of washing and things like that, at the Packard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. It worked anyway for the point that the show was at, but the show definitely has a sort of a patch where it becomes like a more interesting or more kind of exciting bunch of Northern Exposure episodes, almost. I mean, not the Northern Exposure is a completely different show in many ways, but I'm just partly bringing it out because I noticed last night looking on this sort of live TV that is available through digital or whatever here.
Yeah.
And there's one whole channel just devoted to Northern Exposure.
Oh, wow.
So they're just basically playing, the entire series or series of it. It's like, I think in the end.
Would you recommend, like, say, at least the first season of that show? Or, like, are you a fan of it? Or I don't think I've ever seen an episode of it.
Well, I watched it when it was first on. I mean, it's similar to Twin Peaks in that it's quite slow paced. It has a bunch of eccentric characters living in a town which seems quite pleasant, like a place you'd like to live. Arguably more so than Twin Peaks, although I think Twin Peaks has more of a mood and mystique about it. So yeah, I would recommend the show to some degree. I think I'm not sure how well it's dated in a way. It seems quite a sort of just like happy-go-lucky, pleasant entertainment type of show. It doesn't have the sort of. It's not like a thriller in the same sense as Twin Peaks. So
I thought Twin Peaks was so good because it kind of pushed those boundaries for like primetime television. If you think about that in that prospect, doing things and concepts no one else was doing, and really good. Oh, sorry, James. I got a message from Mandela Man. He just wants to know if he can come on. I always ask you first, always.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if he's got that guy with him again. But so it'd be better if he was just on his own because it was just sort of a bit too much interruption and stuff. Maybe you could ask him.
Okay.
Could have been Willis. I remember that being the low point for me, says Gary, when it first aired. Me and Dad were both struggling with some of the James stuff. Well, there were a lot of things that you could have struggled with throughout Twin Peaks when it went into a when it went through sort of like it's more spinning its wheels kind of patch of like trying to just fill in time before it could go properly to the Wyndham Ale story. Like, I think there were elements like Catherine coming out of hiding and saying that she'd been eating cans of tuna and talking to the sheriff or stuff. And I was just I remember watching things like that and just thinking like, is this Twin Peaks anymore? This feels like that's when it did feel more like Northern Exposure.
This is why I love when the introduction of Wyndham Earl and his whole thing, because I swear that this is what carries the show on. This that whole storyline,
Yeah, but at the same time, I just want to mention the other things that were there. I mean, there was quite a lot of padding in terms of, like, for instance, Catherine. I think she was a good character and everything, but only within a certain context. Like, just bring her in and just have her talking to the sheriff about this, that, and the other, and it all feels a bit tame. Like, the same thing was true of, say, the Little Nicky storyline, of course, which. But that felt so stupid that I was just like, there's no way the show can get any worse than this at this point. Like,
that was very much like that sitcom he tried to do.
Not well. The air. I think On the Air was overall more funny than that and more wacky as such. But like, just the scene where it's like, okay, we're going to have to change the tire on the car. And then, the car like nearly falls on him or something. And it's like, oh, It's like, oh my god,
when Andy has that like little dream of Nikki being like in the devil, or whatever.
Yeah, but like, I mean, Dick and Little Nicky, they've both got these sort of like denim outfits on and shorts, and it's just like, oh my god, what is the show? What's happening with the show now? But yeah, thank you for mentioning Nadine as well, Gary. Like, I like Nadine as a whole, especially when she was a tragedy comedy character. But when they decided to have her as like this sort of
superhero,
well, she just became like, super powered, and the good. When I saw that shot of her throwing someone through the air, I was just like, again, please, can this show is definitely going to improve.
I would love to go back in time and watch it with you in real time.
Just like this. I mean, it doesn't make any sense when you look at the film. I mean, when you look, say, at how Twin Peaks started and then where it went, it was like, look at the first pilot episode or something and then think, well, in some, maybe 15 episodes time, we're going to see a woman throwing someone through the air.
Yeah. Okay. It was kind of a good build-up for when the sandbag falls on her, because I think that would have killed the average person. But her having that thing not only jogged her memory, but I don't know. I have no.
Well, I don't think it's meant to like.
That was the only justification.
Create this sort of realism in that aspect. I think it's the stuff with, for instance.
I remember I showed my mom that episode, and she's like, as soon as she saw the bag fall on her, she's like, "Oh, that's going to jog her memory," because it's very cartoonish,
No, but you've got to bear in mind that in that episode, Bobby gets hit on the head with like a real piece of a trunk, a whole log.
Oh yeah. He gets whacked. I know. Win the world. I love that scene too, James. When they do the pan, when Bobby's like, "So you brought your whole," like they show him there, and then they go to the log lady. She's sitting there talking to the guy. They pan again. They go back. She's gone. All of a sudden, the guy's arm goes down. It's the log lady just kind of vanishes for like a quick second. I love that whole scene. It's incredible. So mysterious.
Yeah, the show's sort of like, I mean, just like us as, I think many reasons why people like Twin Peaks is because it's unpredictable. And Mandela Man, when if you've got to just find a place for your phone or whatever and just keep it still, otherwise it's really annoying.
I know it's. I have it plugged in while I'm talking, so it wobbles a little. I'm setting up books and everything to kind of stabilize it for you, there, buddy.
Well, you should have done all that before you came on. Okay?
Well, I was calling the Gainesville Police Department, and somehow their number went do. The Gainesville Police Department number is disconnected.
They're sending RoboCop over. No, I'm kidding.
I appreciate you telling me that, but
it's doing instead of stabilizing it. Johnny, what episode is that where she disappears? Is that like second to last one?
Second to last one, yeah. Where Bobby, before he gets whacked, they pan over to the log lady talking to a guy who's sitting on her. Then they show Bobby, and then they pan back, and then she's gone. The guy's arm goes down because he's like hitting on her, but the log lady just disappears. Boy. And then he whacks Bobby. It's so
hitting on her, look kind of like the truck you've seen, but of an opposite of that.
Not really.
You could, well, yes and no, because they're at the bar.
David Lander, he's the guy who was doing the beauty pageants.
Very funny guy, very funny actor.
All of that was done. It's quite tongue in cheek, and I mean there were scenes like where he was saying to the ladies, the dance, to lean over, and then like one scene where he's like looking down at the cleavage kind of thing and going, lower.
Yeah. I love that scene.
I don't understand how a whole police department could be disconnected. God,
well, it must be just one line or something. You maybe try somewhere other line. Or
it is one line that connects. It goes, when you called before, it would say, press 1 for this, press 2 for this line.
Go and have a look on their website or something. Anyway, this is we're not having like a coffee time talk about Gainesville Police Department.
No, I was just considering getting on the an airplane tonight and going back there to get the stuff.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a good idea.
No, I wouldn't.
Well, I've tried to make.
Never go back there. To ever go to back.
I've tried to make. They wanted me to send them a label. I tried to make a label for 2 weeks, and every time I press the button to finish it, it glitches out and goes back to the beginning. I went to the postal office so they could help me. And they don't know how to do it, and they can't help me.
Well, on that note, can I just say,
Real weird.
Is that your pilled days of the week?
notice that they're empty right now?
Yeah, I do. So that means back off. No one.
All bets are off.
Yeah. Turns into the Joker. Joker boy.
The club can't even handle me now. As Flow Rider said, as I was playing at the start in that great hit from 13 years ago.
It was a good intro. Very good intro.
The club can't even handle me now. My brother has one of them. Gary, what are you talking about? This is your brother's. I just came earlier. He said he can have it. He's buying a new one, but there were some pretty powerful medications in it. So I went out into Derby and I just slammed Flow Rider right up on all the jukeboxes I could find. And I was saying to people, why are there many jukeboxes? Is this a conspiracy against me? This must be connection to is this connected to COVID as well?
Must be. Yeah.
I'm having to wear. It says, please wear gloves whilst pressing the buttons on the machines for Flow Rider. I was just going down the street singing that.
Florida, right? Yeah, you're funny.
Flow Rider.
Right.
No, Flow Rider is a great singer and one of probably the greatest artists in the pop world of the last 30 years.
Oh, of course.
It's got nothing to do.
All right. Well, I have to reacquaint myself with it again.
This is the kind of music, though, you want to listen to if you're in Flow Rider's hood.
Well, I'm probably going to Flow Rider.
Who the fuck is Flow Rider?
I can't. There is no. I can't get the label. So.
That's Flow Rider. Oh shit! Kill Bill can.
Okay, that's enough of that. Yeah.
I tried to convince my ex to come back. She said she's having a horrible time over there.
Do you mean Eve version 2?
No, this is Desiree. If you remember Desiree from
Desiree is a great singer.
when we
I'll
first
put a song on my Desiree in a minute.
when we first started, she was on a few times.
It's a good choice, Jay.
Anyway, so I trying to convince her, and then if you go on my channel, there's a little video where like she calls me back, and you can hear like a military helicopter going above her, circling above her house.
Wait. You can distinguish the type of helicopter by the sound of it.
I asked her if it's military. She said, "Yeah." Oh,
We're fucked, James. We're gonna get disappeared over here.
there's a video too where we go to Chick-fil-A and a drone circles us.
Turns out in Chicago we just have drones. They call them paper drones.
Paper planes. Paper planes.
We got drones though. Yeah.
40 hours of training, but
Well,
just to give everyone an
this is
extra
a
boost, I
video that
brought in
Desiree did.
Not that does.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're going way back tonight. Here's
It certainly doesn't feel that like a long way back. It feels like yesterday.
Listen as your day unfolds. Challenge what the
Remember that?
shows. Try and keep your head up to the sky. Whatever's there, my present is.
Breaking news.
I know how to make them stop and stare as I fall out. The handle me right now. Watching you watching me, I go all out. The club ain't even handle me right now.
Club can't handle me right now.
The club ain't even handle me right now.
Can't nothing handle me right now. I see you, get-getter. Let's get 'em.
See, if you actually listen to that the ha-ha,
Yeah.
that was me sampled on that. That was my laugh. I'll be careful, Gary. Sorry, yeah, copyright probably has already come down on our ass.
Oh.
That's probably by Desiree, though. She really hates people.
She was watching it real time. She's hitting the button.
James, I learned this. If we're not accepting any money, everything is fair use under the Fair Use Act.
I know, it's hilarious. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, he's not a United States citizen, though.
What are you thinking? It's across.
That is true. I'm not. Actually,
Do you guys have fair
Many
act?
people believe I am American from my accent.
Fair
but-
use? Fair use?
Yeah, how does that work with Google? Is it just regional, I guess? Whatever your laws are based on, I guess, regional? So,
I got the fair use.
Mandela Man, have you seen any movies lately? I love hearing your analysis of.
Hey, El Conde, get on it. It was like a big Illuminati coming out party there. And on
Watch
Netflix.
Some Kubrick fucking.
Renfield.
Renfield.
Yeah, I remember you were talking about that. Is that worth a watch?
Hey, man. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
he's over the top, but like,
Yeah.
I think if you pay for that,
If you go into knowing that he's going to be hamming it up on
I know.
purpose, and it's Nicolas Cage, okay,
Dracula, come on, bro.
that's fine.
Right.
I'm a huge fan. I like Nicolas Cage. So.
it's entertaining, popcorn type of movie.
Okay.
With a little deeper message. And then like El Conde is
Mhm.
like a serious take on something like that. And Renfield is more like a tongue in cheek
Okay.
with some serious stuff. It makes a great double feature. What was that third movie we watched? Reptile. Oh, Benicio del Toro, get on that.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, Twin Peaks-ish.
We watched
For sure.
Kubrick's first two films.
A couple Mulholland Drive things in there, like little homages, for sure.
Reptile. Let me. What you? Oh, okay. When did that
I
come
mean,
out? Was that more-
I've seen it, but I don't really think it has
You like it?
necessarily, anything that's
until I
Lynch level.
I
It's,
understood what happened.
I noticed there was a Stone Mountain reference in there. Among like,
well, that's because it was supposed to be in Atlanta, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Hmm.
I believe so.
I never went to Stone Mountain when I was in Atlanta, but what's the significance?
We
Good
have
question. Yeah, I have no idea.
we have a stone town,
Did you get shot while you were in Atlanta?
and it's related to the guy.
No, I went to Atlanta with the hope of getting shot, but it didn't happen. So
just in the ass.
I kept saying to people when I was on the way back, like, "Oh, I can't believe I didn't get shot." Honestly, and some people were like looking at me like, "That guy's not normal."
There, man. Those are your two most likely.
Just thought I was really annoying and suffering from some kind of manic episode. But
Well, that's my camera.
because I've been in America, which I was.
I know. I've seen the pictures. Good pictures too. Some of the black and white ones you showed me, really good.
Well, yeah.
You always have good framing. No matter, I don't know how you set up these shots. I always give you credit for your framing. Excellent.
Oh, well, thank you. Not deliberate necessarily. It's just.
Well, if you're not even trying, that's even better. That's amazing.
Well, it's all right. You don't have to give me too much credit.
Where we had our family reunion, Grandma.
Did anyone see that thing that Cameron posted on Twin Peaks Worldwide, where it was like apparently there's some kind of student film or something of that sort being filmed in Canada, in Toronto, of where you are, of course, Johnny. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
It is, and they are calling it Wisteria, and they kind of posted a picture up where they wrote David Lynch as the director on the clapperboard. So a lot of people obviously assumed that this must be real, and then it was proven that it was all just a joke. So very annoying, really. But
so
I had nothing to do with that.
So
you
guys, that's a horrible tease for us.
Yeah, that is a horrible tease. That's not right.
It's like dry humping a little bit.
But I don't know why anyone do that. It just makes you think that they're really clueless to sort of make. They're just trying to get attention. for their own project. But the thing is, if you're just getting negative attention, what's the point in that? It's
You're
not
gonna
going
end up destroying it. Yeah.
You're just going to end up getting people who are like Lynch fans, etc., and going to always be interested in what his next project is. And then if you're just fooling them sometimes or playing a trick on them, they're just going to think that you're a dick.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I do anyway. I mean, because it's just, even if you're a film student, you'd think you would have enough awareness or ability to gauge what is a sensible thing to do, you know, in terms of promoting your project or making jokes. You don't just sort of like mess around with saying, you know, this is a new Lynch project.
Yeah, because it's a way to anger the fan base, and they'll shun you. That you'll just, especially the Twin Peaks fan base, like you don't want to. If they would have came out saying fan film this, that, and the other, they would have got welcome arms most likely, at least by a small amount. But doing this, yeah, that's too much.
Is Cameron really? Is he working on a second thing? Yeah, for real?
Well, I don't know. I'm not someone you can ask about that because
Well, the latest rumors, he's got a crowdfunding to rent one of those IMAX cameras, $1.1 million.
Really?
No.
Jesus Christ.
But like, you can do it on an iPhone 15 now. I mean, that's state of the art.
Well, you don't need to have an IMAX camera to make a fan film. That would be sort of seemingly a bit pointless. Like, how many people are going to manage to be able to see it on IMAX anyway? Will it ever get shown on IMAX?
I know.
Kind of setting yourself up immediately for failure.
I didn't really think that through. Yeah, I know.
I mean, it would cost a lot of money just to even distribute it. So
Too much. I know.
To follow up on that Stone Mountain thing, we there's a stone town it's called Stone Town in Tennessee, and that's like where my family originated from. So they owned the whole town originally back in the day. And then there's a guy on the mountain, you know, there's carvings on the mountain face, and one of those is most likely like a stone relative related to the stone town, related to me.
Well, there's ancient murals foretelling the existence of Mandela Man.
No, these are like some clan members on like horses.
Okay, what?
No, really.
You did have to say that.
Look up Stone Mountain.
stone murals foretelling of the Flow Rider incident
I'm just telling you facts.
involving Bobby
On Stone Mountain. You'll see
and Eve's version 2.
I got. Yeah,
He gets sucked into his phone Tron style.
Eve is like a more annoying version of that Megan.
No.
Oh my god.
Hey,
Oh my god.
very.
Fighting words.
Like really giving really sassy answers all the time.
Hey, everybody's talking shit about. Let's not do that.
Morning, Eve. Oh, is it morning?
Oh,
hadn't noticed.
Did you wake up again? You're alive.
I can hear you, by the way.
No shit.
Oh yeah, you're right here.
Oh god.
Oh, he's right there.
He's always listening.
Phantom Cooper, didn't you last time say that the Eve interview was like completely disturbing or something, and now you're saying you want it again?
Hey, that was just between me and you.
I know.
For you, not to be brought up on the show.
She's like a Digimon, but more annoying. I don't think you mean a Digimon.
You're thinking of Tamagotchi.
Hey.
Tamagotchi.
Hey,
Tamagotchi.
hey, James, let me say something real quick. My brother is in a mental hospital. The other one's in a prison. Our friend is supposedly in a rehab, but we can't.
And you're in between realities, my friend.
Another guy is missing. My ex has a flesh-eating disease, and there's a military helicopter going over her house. We went to Chick-fil-A. There was a drone search.
There's also that void outside your window to the portal of hell.
Well, no, there was a robbery. If you guys watch my channel, there was a robbery right outside the window that I had to catch and help.
Wait, you pulled a Batman and you
Pull the Batman please from inside the house.
Yes, sir.
Called Alfred.
They bust the window and
throws on a cape and jumps out the window. I'm here.
Do you live in a kind of a rough part of Chicago?
No.
hell
Oh,
no.
that's good. Oh, my
Very-
God.
The best part.
Very nice southern suburb, like kind of like Norman Rockwell type of place. Like it's just we have no
All
cash.
retired grandpas.
Well, hold on, we have no cash bail. So after the robbery, I asked the cop. I said, "Well, even if you caught them, because of the no cash bail thing in Chicago, you'd have to let them go 30 minutes later." Well, yeah, but they'd have to go to court eventually.
But that's if they don't make bail, yeah.
be right back out in
No,
an hour.
there's no bail. There's
no
Oh,
bail.
shoot. Oh, my God.
bail.
They just let you go.
This is how you get recidivism. You know? People just keep doing this thing over and over again.
What'd you say, John?
That's how you get recidivism. People keep doing the same thing over and over again.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
an
Because
hour
there's no consequences.
An hour later, they could be continuing their robbing spree. And I think they were actually trying to take the car.
I'm a serial recidivist.
Take the car. So, yeah.
Like seriously, I got a criminal record as long as you're fucking, as long as Ben's hair.
I don't.
They let me go
Have
right
any.
away
Well,
2 days ago for driving.
It's kind of like obsessive compulsive behavior to be constantly doing things which are against the law.
Oh yeah, it was drug extorted.
Getting a thrill out of it.
A mother after.
Just trying,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
So,
Sometimes it's a cry for help, and/or it's called the cowboy syndrome, where you want to get caught almost without knowing it.
Yeah.
It's a subconscious thing.
I think that's why you keep telling the phones off business.
I just don't think the phones are actually really care what I'm talking about.
Wow, I'm telling you. Like, I'll say
Except
something.
for commercial ads.
You know that we'll
Some
get,
people want to get caught.
but I'll say something, and then when I'm talking to her later, she'll reference whatever I said when the phone was off. So, I mean,
She's talking about me.
plus, let me show you this.
What do you mean? You're gonna have to choke a bitch.
On this phone, my brother put like this special thing. Find it. Well, give it a minute. He puts a special thing on the phone where, like, anytime I make a call, it's recorded for all time.
Wow.
Teddy did that. Yeah, it's a weird program. I will be able to pull it up in a little bit for your info. But we're on live. We're on YouTube, so everything's being broadcast. I mean, we're not. It's not like we're private here.
I think Gary wants your a link for your channel, Mandela Man.
It is Gypsy Steam. Is that okay, James?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm just going to get some water. You can put whatever links.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, because Gary said put the link for Mandela Man's channel in the chat.
I write it down for people. It is Gypsy Steeman. GYSTYSTIEMANN. 2 N's. You capitalize the G, you capitalize the S in Steeman. It's all one word. Not the one that's separated. There's one that says Gypsy space Steeman. That's the wrong one. It's Gypsy Steeman, all one word. When you see the QR code, you know you're there. You click on that QR code or what's called Our Story, and you scroll way down. There's like hundreds and hundreds of posts of what happened. And then on Beanstone, BEAN space STONE, that's me. That's how we talk when we do StreamYard. And you can go there and click my story, not necessarily our story anymore, since Teddy's in person. And you could scroll down and see the continuation of that, or you can go to Mandela space man, even though I was Mandela Man, all one word. It's a little bit of a Mandela effect on me, I guess, this time. So it's Mandela space man, not space man, you know, like space in between Mandela and man on YouTube to see more stuff there that is just starting to,
Are you on YouTube now?
I've always been on YouTube.
No, I know. That's how I discovered. I actually discovered your channel before I discovered James's Coffee Time, because I was looking up the owl ring symbols. That video you did on the owl ring.
The same channel, yes. That's the channel.
Okay.
GPM asks Gypsy Seaman.
That's the first thing you saw together.
That all my life. What do you mean?
I see him. He took my garbage.
Okay, I'm live right now. Yeah, I'm live right now.
And he's talking.
The air on the internet. God damn.
He's talking about like on Facebook. It's the Gypsy Steinman. It's on Facebook. It's not on YouTube.
Please pronounce it correctly. It's Steinman, but everyone calls me Steinman all my life, every time.
Apologies for that.
It's okay.
I just wanted to mention something again. We keep talking about things related to films, etc.
Yeah.
Has anyone here watched? I know you have, Mandela Man. Probably you've watched the original Lolita by Kubrick, right?
Oh, of course, many times.
I just started watching it last night for the first time, really, and it's.
Oh.
I mean, obviously, it takes a bit to get into because it's not necessarily because it's a bit old-fashioned, but I mean, it's still very.
You gotta excuse me for a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the one I've seen is the one from '98 that wasn't directed by Kubrick, or '97.
Right, yeah. Well, the Adrian Lynn who directs Fatal Attraction and stuff, that was just very roundly bashed by critics, etc. And but a lot of people didn't like it, but I've never watched it, so I think that one was a bit more style over everything,
Yeah.
Just, I'm sure it's got some aspects in it which might not be bad, but I mean, Kubrick's original film is, from what I've seen of it so far, anyway, it's definitely very distinctive. But it's something I really need to pay attention to, and I'm probably going to get a Blu-ray of it or something. I mean, it's just, I thought the editing at the start, I mean, it has this long sequence where the Peter Sellers character and James Mason sort of, there's a kind of almost fight occurring, and then it goes back in time to when he's off looking for a place to live, this teacher writer, and he finds this house with a woman who's sort of being very familiar with him, and you're like coming on to him a bit, really. But then she says, "Do you want to see the garden?" After she showed him everything else, and then that's where he sees Lolita, and it's like afterwards she says to him, "What? Was it the garden that made you want to stay here?" Like oblivious, of course, to like. But he's just immediately looking at the Lolita, played by Sue Leon, who probably, I mean, she doesn't look immensely young, so because the actress wasn't as young as the character really was, but I mean, certainly the way he plays the character.
Because the real life story that's the book is based on is the main character, the real guy in real life went after an 11-year-old.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is Humbert as he's called. It's it just has this shot where it goes from him looking at her, and then it cuts to them at a drive-in, and it's got this scene from a Hammer horror movie, and so it's got like a full screen.
I think so.
I'll just mute Mandela Man for the time being. So. This is the kind of thing that's just annoying now. It's just Johnny?
Yep.
It is quite late here, so I was hoping that everyone would be kind of like on the ball rather than Mandela Man started going into like military helicopters flying over and all this kind of.
Yeah, I gave him a heads up before he came on. I said, just you and make sure you focus on movies.
It just throws me off especially when I'm like, it's this time of night and stuff. And there are things from the chat that I can't even try and make sense of that Millie wrote, for instance, last time. It's like, it's just, she was making reference to things that I wanted to look up, but I can't find them. I don't know what she was referring to. It's all a little bit confusing. Is there anything else you wanted to mention tonight, Johnny, before we go?
Not specifically. Nothing right off the bat. I did find it odd that they're releasing that horror movie I guess it's for the American Thanksgiving in November. I always find that weird when they release horror movies that are not during the horror season. It's always an odd thing, you know. You see something in like January or November.
Yeah. What horror films do you mean?
Well, there's one, well, like the one that's coming out based on the Thanksgiving, somebody, I don't know, some Thanksgiving killer. Or
Oh, there's a film called Thanksgiving, isn't there?
yeah. So I do understand. Yeah, it's seasonal for Thanksgiving, but at the same time, it's just always odd when horror movies are released, you know, outside the season or before. You know.
Mm. Well, I'm going to just end the show now anyway, because I don't really feel like just sort of extending it with just Mandela Man going into some other unrelated topic. Because it doesn't. It usually, most often, it doesn't really end up being that intriguing or entertaining. It's just like him kind of rambling like somebody who's not quite sure what he's talking about. I mean,
were there any shows or movies you wanted to suggest, James? Or is there anything you've been watching or you'd want to?
Not really at this very moment, because I've mentioned most of them over this last month, you know.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to just end it there rather than prolonging the agony here. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and thank you, Johnny, for joining me. And we'll leave it there. Bye for now.